But what I'm hearing overall is that there is indeed an actual planned coup attempt being planned for Inauguration Day, January 20, J20. And the cover story for this is that it is a peaceful protest. It's free speech protest. It's public protest. A women's march. I don't know, a labor union march, or whatever they come up with. That's the cover story. What's really happening is that they hope to foment enough anger and to amass enough people on that day that it flips over into a popular uprising, and they literally flood into the Capitol buildings, not just the Capitol building itself, but they try to take over perhaps the White House, which won't work, by the way. They're going to fail. Or they try to take over the geography of power in Washington, D.C., or they camp out there. They stake it out. They try to do an Occupy Washington, D.C., basically, kind of operation. That's actually, come to think of it, that's the best way to describe it. It's going to be like an Occupy Washington, D.C. kind of attempt. And this is what leftists always do. They try to physically overrun the buildings of power and arrest and hang or behead the leaders they don't like. I mean, look at the French Revolution, right? Or, throughout history, Central America, South America, China under Mao, and so on, Stalin, former Soviet regime changes. I mean, just look at history. They rush in and they execute the current leaders, and then they just declare themselves to be the new government. This is what many people on the left, who are basically radical communists, and they may call themselves Bernie Sanders supporters or socialists or democratic socialists, but they're basically communists in terms of their actual ideology. They're communists, they're fascists, they're statists. This is what they are. Some of them may not even know that that's what they are, because they've been so radicalized. This is a blueprint. They've been following it for decades, and they've almost completed it. And now Trump, you see, is interfering with their plans. Trump has thrown a wrench into the machine, and they cannot allow that to happen, because they almost had it. If they could just get Clinton elected, then they could have continued this to stage all the way through stage 3 crisis, and then to stage 4 normalization, where we would be basically a totalitarian socialist or communist regime, fascist regime, really, run by the political elite with subservient, obedient masses who worship Hillary Clinton like a goddess. We were so close to that happening. And by the way, they would have gone through and arrested and executed most of the independent media journalists at some point in Clinton's first term. It's all part of the plan. Read this work by Yuri Bezmenov, and you can find out that's exactly what they do. So now, here they are. They've got no more attempts left. There's nothing left to do except to just go full out Marxism, communism, KGB style overthrow. This is all they have left, is just a sort of a mad rush in Washington. And that's what they're planning on doing. That's what this Disrupt J20 is all about. Now, the New York Times is directly calling for sabotage of Breitbart. They're also calling for, they're publicizing Communist Party propaganda to say that lots of people should show up on Inauguration Day and disrupt events. I mean, Michael Moore is out there saying we're going to resist for 100 days. Many others, leaders of the radical Marxist left, are out there saying essentially, we're going to overthrow the system. Suppose they make it. Suppose that the snowflakes, the pathetic left-wing snowflakes, manage to even climb the hill or march the 1,000 yards or whatever. Suppose they make it into the Capitol building and they take it over. And they announce, we're occupying the Capitol building and we are the legitimate government now and blah, blah, blah. We the people. They're going to say, Hillary won the popular vote. Never mind that the popular vote wasn't the competition. It's not how it works. That's not the way that Trump campaigned, not for the popular vote. He campaigned under the rules of the Constitution, right? So he won the election fair and square. But the leftists don't understand that. All they know is that they want to be in power. And in their minds, screw democracy. Like they don't think anything of democracy unless they win. The people that will be there will include 1,000 U.S. Marines and, again, 5,000 National Guard troops and thousands of local police officers, all of these groups support Donald Trump. The Marines support Donald Trump because he's pro-military. The National Guard supports Donald Trump. The police support Donald Trump because he's finally going to give police permission to do their jobs and take a stand against rioting and looters and, Black Lives Matter assassins and all these horrible people on the radical left who just want mayhem and chaos and everything to burn down because they're not happy with, they're not getting enough food stamps or what have you, or they imagine there's a KKK crisis across America that doesn't even exist as any kind of widespread epidemic. I live in Texas, never even met anybody in my whole life that claimed to be KKK. I couldn't find a KKK person if I tried. I mean, it's like finding a unicorn at the end of a rainbow with a pot of gold and a leprechaun dancing in the rain or something. How do you even find KKK people? I don't even know. But they think the left thinks it's taken over the country. So they're freaked out. They're all paranoid and they're all smoking pot. So they're also, drug-induced paranoia is coming out of their ears. And they think that if they don't overthrow Trump, that they're all going to die. They think they're going to be rounded up and thrown into FEMA camps, which, by the way, is exactly what they want to do to patriots and conservatives who don't agree with them. That's the old plan of what was his name? The Weatherman and Bill Ayers, right? The people who trained Obama. That was their plan, was to round up Americans and put them in camps and re-educate them, and the ones that couldn't be re-educated, they were going to be executed. That's their plan. That's all on the record stuff. If you don't know about that, you don't know much about American history. So they're going to be squatting, and all these Marines and all these National Guard troops and all these police are going to be there. And this is going to be the most entertaining failed coup attempt in the history of coup attempts. It is time to reassert the freedoms and the rights of the American people as described in the Constitution. It is time to take back America from the cultural subversion of the radical left, the communist influence, Marxist influence, radical left-wing, even terrorists and murderers who killed cops and so on. It's time to shut that whole sector of society down. It is time to shut that down. And if it takes Trump issuing arrest warrants and it takes putting police out there onto the streets for a little while to get that done and find the treasonous subversives who need to be arrested and prosecuted, then Trump is going to have our full support in getting that done. We can no longer tolerate losing our country. We are going to protect America. We're going to protect Texas. We're going to protect our Constitution, protect our rights, and protect our president. End of story. Anybody has a problem with that? Good luck.